Does the music matter? LiveWaves, build a generation. Kingdom Customs, J-Dab Music, let's go. When it comes to the music, what do y'all consume with? Does it make it raise your hands, dance, kick off your shoes and relax? Grooving, impacting, influence. Got your body beat moving, so congruent. I'm teaching using scientific rubric. Power, perception, persuasion like fluid. Penetrate your brain, your memory, in tune with the thought, life, emotions, vulnerable to illusion. Bringing it to you from LiveWaves is conclusive.
We need a voice. We need a consistent voice. We need a sacrificial voice. And we need a voice that knows what they're talking about and can provide evidence and willing to partner with other people and make whatever kind of changes we can.
And so what I would like to do today is share with you all the history and how did it become a part of my passion and what I'm doing and what I'm striving to do here. So probably about 10 years ago, to be exact, I met a gentleman by the name of Kareem Bowen. And so he says to me, he said, man, I think there's somebody you should meet. You two have, like minds, passions, desires, so on and so forth, professional. And so I went and I met this phenomenal woman. Her name is Wardine Talley. And so Kareem introduces me to Miss Talley. I sit with her, I meet with her, and I was telling her about my passions when it comes to music, different things I understood, so on and so forth. Miss Talley had access to parents and youth at the time. And so after talking with me for a while, we took a break and we resumed. As we resumed, she says, does the music matter? I said, well, of course it does. She said, I'm not asking you that. She said, that was in my spirit when we broke away for a few minutes. And she says, I want you to come up with a workshop for my parents and name it, Does the Music Matter? It really resonated within me, the structure, the content, so on and so forth. And that's when the passion came. I didn't know that 10 years later I would be writing a psychological, scientific approach to such a literary work, though. Throughout the years, everybody that know me personally know how Corey feels about the music, so on and so forth. However, I've done quite a few endeavors in my adult life, in my professional life, and by far working with the youth has been the most rewarding. Consequently, though, over a year ago, one of my students was murdered, and it impacted me in a major way. And it wasn't the first time that I experienced something similar. Being someone who's been working with the youth in Saginaw, Michigan for 16 years, you're gonna lose some young people to murder, prison, drugs, so on and so forth. But I digress. The moral of the story was my relationship with this young man was so close, and I was watching what he was experiencing in life, and he was trying to change. He was trying to make some changes, and I know this personally. And so as I watched him struggle, one of the things that I seen that was consistent on the negative side was the music he listened to. And, I would watch him on Facebook, watch him on picture, taking pictures. There's always guns and when he had video, always this gangster rap music, talking about killing and murder. And he was murdered. And it really tore me up. And I began to talk about the music on Facebook.
I just came on here to express my heart right quick. I just lost another one of my little nephews last night. It hurt me because I'm always talking about this music. I hate that music. It's so many young people like murdering and being murdered. People can say what they want, but the music matters. And these young peoples are being impacted on a daily basis behind this music. Now, it's not just the music, but I'm talking about music right now. I'm so tired. Like, I don't even like one day is your one little nephew, they in the joint. They in prison for murder. Then the next one is your little nephew got shot. Or the next one is they dead. I'm like, I don't even understand like why we can't deal with something like that. The music, y'all. So look at the fruit. Look at the fruit. Man. I don't get it. I'm tired of it. Ain't y'all tired of it? No, it's not just music. No, music's not the only impact. But if you understood the power of music, you'll understand what I'm saying. We got young people dying every day, going to prison, speaking murder over themselves, receiving the fruit, trying to keep it surface and simple. Surface and simple. I'm trying to keep born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan. I was born in 1980, man. From 1980 to now, this has become the norm. And it is increased with the increase of murder music and gangster rap in our culture. I don't care if you can agree or not. But I'm out of here, man. Grace and peace be multiplied to you all, beloved.
And the responses that I got from many of you who may be watching right now warranted me to sit down and write about it. It really did. It pulled on me, it tugged, and I said, it's about time that I write the book. And so that's the foundation of the book. It started off as a workshop by way of another individual meeting me and sharing what was in her spirit. It went from the workshop and developed throughout the years. My passion grew. I watched the impact of music on youth throughout the years. And it really ended with one of my youth being murdered. And I said, enough is enough. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to be the voice that talks about how music matters. And I'm going to provide evidence. And so here we are. Here we are today with the literary work, scientific, psychological, textbook approach to this literary work. It may not be the everyday read, but I do believe everyday people can read it. Did you catch that? It may not be an everyday read, but I do believe that everyday people can read it, which I believe that means they can comprehend it. They can understand it, okay? But that's why we're going to delve into it. That's why we have the show. So we're going to get into it. It's going to encourage and inspire you to go out and get the book. Maybe come have me do some teachings in some of your youth groups, some of your adult groups, so on and so forth. Weekly, what we're going to do, we're going to go through here, all right? And we're going to read, and we're going to get some illustrations and some examples. And I'm going to teach section by section aspects of the book, all right? Now, let me pique your interest today. I want to read the table of contents to you. All right? Table of contents. And it reads, we have the preface, okay? Also, we have the soul, all right? And we're going to give a psychological perspective. And we're also going to give an ancient biblical worldview. But what we want to do is connect something that all humanity has, male, female, black, white, purple, green, okay? It's a soul. And we want to just connect that to everyday life, which has to do with your mind, your emotions, and your will, okay? But section 2, music and motive, all right? What is music? We're going to talk about what is it from a definition perspective. You know, technically, what is music? Right? We're going to briefly talk about words and influence. All right? Impact. How something affects you and the effect. History, health, and music. All right? We call that back down memory lane. All right? So we're going to talk about music's history. All right? and some of the aspects of how music correlates and connects to health. Okay? Section 3 is the mind, memory, thought life, the brain. All right? And that looks like this. So we're going to deal with memory, short-term memory, working memory, long-term memory. All right? We're going to talk about maintenance rehearsal, elaborative rehearsal. Right? These are things that have to do with how the mind works, how the memory. So listen. So the science of thought, music in the brain, all right? When we talk about the science of thought, it's just how thoughts are connected to emotions that cause physiological responses. So we're talking about the science of thought. We're going to talk about music in the brain. Okay, we're going to talk about the brain, aspects of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, all right, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and how these things are affected and impacted by music, all right? So we're going to get into music in the brain. Music therapy. A lot of these things are brief. This is a nice foundation. We're going to have volume 2 coming next, okay? But music therapy, we're going to just briefly talk about that and the impact and the effects of music and how it has a positive effect on physical health. All right, so we get into music therapy, power and prevalence. All right, we're going to get into that briefly. And power and prevalence deals with just the power aspect and the power aspect of music and why is that prevalent. Okay, and so we'll talk about that. So section 4, emotions. All right, we're going to talk about what are emotions, like from a definitive perspective. We're going to define that. What are emotions, right? And then we're going to get into music and emotions. Then we're going to go to sound vibrations, music intervals and emotions. So we're going to briefly talk about how sounds and vibration impact certain emotions, right? And so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into movies, all right? How emotions are connected to movies and why those who create movies tend to your emotions. Think about it. Comedy, drama, violence, suspense, mystery, right? Love stories. All of those things tend to your emotions. And so movie directors understand that, producers, so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about movies, all right? Music videos, how music videos are majorly impacting your emotions. Think about it. All the guys out there who grew up in the 80s who watch 2 Live Crew videos. I don't have to say what was on 2 Live Crew videos. Everybody already understand how Uncle Luke and the 2 Live Crew got down. All right? And so what happened when you watched those music videos? Well, your emotions were influenced and impacted in a major way, right? And so we're going to talk about music videos. So advertising and marketing. How in advertising and marketing, people spend billions of dollars. Behaviors, all right? We're going to talk about behavior in music. We have a development illustration on how behavior is developed, the seed in the soil. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. That's because they don't understand the science and the psychology that's wrapped up in the power of music. And climate and atmosphere, all right? That has to do with behavior in music as well, right? Behaviors, climate, atmosphere, and what that means in regards to behavior, all right? Major miscellaneous matters in music, all right? Gangster rap, trap music, and propaganda. We're gonna talk about that, all right? Propaganda is misinformation, trying to, get a certain behavior and emotional reaction for a certain outcome due to a particular agenda or a particular vision or mission, right? And so that's what propaganda is. We're gonna talk about how music is used in a powerful way to reinforce the propaganda of those who try to popularize selling drugs or being a killer. All right, and so that's the misinformation that you can be successful, real deal successful doing that, and people use music to do, right? Music, magic, and mysticism. All right, music, magic, and mysticism. So we're gonna briefly talk about that. Music is so multifaceted. So many people use it for so many things. All right, so in conclusion, the last thing that we're going to discuss is healing and hope. All right, healing and hope. And so we're going to talk about that. You know, it's not just about negative things in music. It's about holistically getting into the reality of how powerful music is. You know, doesn't matter which way you want to swing the pendulum. So healing and hope is what we're ending with. Because you can use music to produce healing and hope. And that's what we're going to conclude with. And then, after the literary work is finished, when we go through all of the different units and the chapters, we're going to start having guests on the show. We're going to talk about the movement, all right? Does the Music Matter 13? It's a social movement that we're starting, so we're going to talk more and more about the movement. We're also going to do a lot more with music, so we got a soundtrack we're going to be releasing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for gathering with us, and we look forward to continuing to build this relationship as we explore, does the music matter? Peace.
So like a gambler losing, I'm breaking pool stick. Pissed off, feeling ripped off with my students. Bombarded with lyrics, drug dealing and shooting. Artists looking success is so confusing. Portraying they cool, a demonstration is foolish. I'm telling everybody, come and get with the movement. Does the Music Matter 13, the boost with truth in. Bringing it to you from LiveWaves is conclusive.